What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today, guys, we are starting on something that a lot of you guys have wanted to see for a very long time, and that is the power window motor swap, or power window slash power lock swap on the NBS trucks. Now, I'm gonna preface this right now, and I'm not gonna, I'm always one to be in the comments and field all the questions, but I am not going to field this question. You guys are gonna have to figure it out on your own, and that is from the 03 model to the 07 Classic model. This is not the same swap, okay? So I'm not even gonna answer any questions in the comments that are related to how do I do it on an 03 to 07. You guys are on your own. Those run through the body control module. So unless you're gonna take everything out, which we may end up doing here, it's not gonna work, because when you hit the switch on the newer 03 up models, it is a dummy, basically. It tells the body control module to then roll the window down. Whereas these, the 99 to 02 models, the switch goes directly to the motor. So there's a couple different avenues that you can take here as far as the 99 to 02 models. You can swap everything out of the door, which we're obviously gonna have to do either way. And then you can come in here and find the wires that you need to tag into to get power, and you can work it that way. That is not the way I'm planning on doing it. The plan that I have is I'm gonna do one of two things, guys. I'm either going to rob the harness out of this entire truck, which could be a pain, or somebody suggested in a video a while back, just pull the whole dash and you don't have to worry about, you just go and find the plugs where they lead to and pull the whole dash and move it over here. So that may be what I do, but here's what I will tell you. It's gonna be very in-depth. So this video will probably be multiple parts. I wanna show you guys as much as I possibly can, as far as, down to every little nut and bolt that I take out. I want it to be very simple for somebody who is trying to do this. And guys, I'm not trying to be a jerk about the 03 up stuff, but I just know what's gonna happen, and somebody's gonna inevitably ask, but it's not the same on those. All the stuff in the door is the same, but it is not the same. So you're gonna have to figure out your own method on those years. This only covers 99 to 02, but we're gonna start on the door panel. And as you can see, I've got my green truck kind of set side by side. So the plan is here, guys, is I'm planning on taking it off of one, taking the other off, and then swapping them door to door, and then we'll move on to the dash. So I'm gonna set you guys up on the tripod. The very first thing I'm gonna show you is how to remove the door panel. We'll get it out of the way. Then we'll go over to this truck, get that door panel out of the way, and we're just gonna kind of go back and forth. And like I said, I think this is gonna be multiple videos. I would say for sure it's gonna be 2 or more, possibly 4, but I wanna cover everything. So I'm gonna be really in depth, but I'm not gonna have 2 or 3 hour long videos. So either way, let's get started here. I'm gonna set you guys up like I said. Let's get the door panel off and get started. The very first thing we're gonna start with here are pry tools. And guys, I've got some lighting here. I'm hoping that you're gonna be able to see as I'm doing this, but we need to get under this guy. There we go. And we need to get it out of place. And I think for now, I'm just gonna set this stuff to the side, then we'll worry about it later, because I'm not planning on using these door panels, but I may have to for temporary. Same thing here on our lock, and same thing up here. You don't necessarily have to have it for each one of these, but in my opinion, it's a good idea. We'll get these out of the way. So once we get that, now the older models, guys, they did have the ability to pop up and pull your switch out. The newer 03 up, which I told you I'm not gonna cover, they are bolted on the back side, so you don't just wanna be yanking these out or you will break them. But once we get that, we're gonna unplug the harness here, and now we need to take a series of 7mm out. So let me go grab a 7, and I'll probably use my impact. We'll get these out of place. So the 7mm that I'm talking about, there's one here where we took the switch out. I'm gonna keep these. There's another one right here on the inside of the door handle. And then there used to be one on the bottom, but I don't know if this one's broken or not. maybe, I know there's one that's supposed to be coming in from the bottom, but that's for this pocket on the bottom. So I think that's it. So let's we lift it up on this, and it looks like we've got a couple wires stuck. That is just the tweeter, and it's seen better days here. Just hanging in there actually. Oh, and then we have the light down here in the corner, which was broken out, so I assumed it wasn't in there, but we can pull it out as well. Which is cool because my current truck doesn't have this either, so we'll be also gaining this guy, which I'm gonna have to find some. I'm not using these door panels like I said. So at this point, I'm gonna grab, I think, it looks like somebody's put an aftermarket speaker in here. Normally these would just come out, but it looks like these might be 7mm also. So I'm gonna grab that out off camera, because normally you would have a clip up top and they would fold down and you could unplug them. One thing that kind of sucks here is with this aftermarket speaker, they cut the factory plug off, but we will we'll address that because I'm probably not gonna put it in with factory speakers anyway. So let's move on. So we've got some 10mm to take out. The first one here is gonna be our handle. I'm gonna take it out. These are, I think, Escalade handles, they call them. We're gonna take that 10mm out. And then this should slide forward and out. There is a little keeper here. I'm hoping I can get it loose. There we go. You can see if we slide this over, it unclips and then comes out of the top. So that guy's out. I'm gonna take, there's another 10 up top here. Actually, if it's, yeah, it's under the plastic. I'm gonna take this plastic off, so that's why I'm taking this out. And I take that back, the plastic's actually on the front. So we'll put it back in for now. But I'm gonna go ahead and take all this plastic off. And I'm planning on keeping this, depending on what the plastic in this truck looks like, I may reuse it. But you should be able to pull all your connections through the little slits. And you could try to, sorry guys, you could try to work around this. But believe me, you would be better off having it out of your way. You can see our handle. Don't forget this is our handle rod. I wanted to bring you in a little closer to show you what my next step is going to be. I want to remove this harness, okay? So this entire harness I want to take out of this door. So we're going to start right up here. You can see that we have wire that comes through the door, right? So if we pop this out, you see that green bundle of wires? We want to unplug this top one, so from the top left, and we want to unplug the one right below it. And I want to snake this through. It may take me a second, I may have to put the camera down, but we're gonna pull this thing through. We should be able to do it even with this on there, I believe. And we may not, we may have to go the other direction actually. I don't think that's gonna pass through that opening. Yeah, it will if I unplug it. Let me unplug it real quick. I can't do it with one hand. Once I swung this blue thing out, this was able to unplug, and I've got it out of the truck itself. But guys, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to thread all this wiring out of this hole. So it's just too big. I'm not gonna try to thread it through this guy or take this apart in order to make it pass through that. Not a big deal. I wanna clean that up anyway. So we're gonna go through and make our disconnects on each one of the power pieces of equipment in this truck. So we're gonna have one here for our power window motor, obviously. We're gonna have the one that we unplugged for the speaker. This guy was actually for the tweeter that was hooked to the door panel. This is for your switch up top. And guys, if you don't know what each one of these go to, it's pretty easy because they all plug into only one thing. But if you don't, Now would be a good time to step back, take a picture, or label each one of these with some blue tape saying, you know, window switches, tweeter, speaker. This one's pretty obvious. But then we've got one that's gonna go up. This is a power mirror truck. So we're gonna unplug that one. And I'm gonna do all this off camera. We're gonna go, if you follow this wiring mess right here, we've got one that goes to the lock for the power locks. You see it in there? Pretty easy to see once we get the plastic out of the way. And we're gonna route this all out of that door. Now, I want to keep these clips, these little factory clips, and I wanna install them on this door just like this. All our holes will be there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a pair of needle nose pliers and I'm gonna pinch these and pull each one of them out as opposed to just trying to pull them through and breaking them, if that makes sense. One thing real quick, guys, I didn't even see until I started pulling them off. There are 3 plugs over here on the lock. So make sure you get all 3. They're just clips that you pull up from the top. They are also all 3 different plugs, so you can't mess that up as far as getting them in the wrong spot. But I'm gonna continue with my pliers, my needle nose pliers. And this is gonna take me a little bit of time, like I said, because I want to keep these clips if possible. It just looks way more factory when you have those. I don't know, I guess I'm just picky like that. If a guy was in a hurry, he wouldn't have to reuse all these. And we're just gonna make our way down and out of the front side of the door down here. Now, a couple of these aren't the pinched together ones, they're like the Christmas tree style. So for those, I use this guy. But we've got them all loose now. And so we're going to carefully feed all this stuff out of the door. Now this is obviously a huge part, very vital part of doing this swap is having this harness. So could you go to a salvage yard and get this? Yeah, that's the whole point of this video, guys. I'm trying to show you, you don't necessarily have to have a parts truck, although I think it's easier because you don't have to run back if you forgot something. But I wanted to give you guys an idea of what parts you would need. So we've got this harness. I'm kind of setting all this together. So I'm gonna go set this on the top of the door panel and then we'll move on. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, because I can't get you guys in the door to show you, I'm gonna take this rod out. And actually, guys, we can be a little more aggressive on this door than we're gonna be on our other one. So we'll just use this. And the whole reason I'm taking it out this way is so I can show you guys the rods connected. So we had that one that goes up to the interior door handle. We have the, or sorry, not the interior door handle, but the interior lock. We have this guy that's the interior handle. In here, so you guys see this rod that's coming down right here. I'm gonna put my flathead screwdriver here and unlock this. Can't do it with my finger. But I've also reached up in the door, and the one that goes up to the handle, this one here is the lock from the outside, the plastic you can see. But the other one, if you reach up in there, it's got a very similar piece to what we pulled off on the interior handle here. So there's a piece of plastic that this bend goes into, and then there's a sleeve that folds over and locks here. You guys will see what I'm talking about. I'll try to pull it out and show you, but at this point, once I get that lock rod undone, we can go ahead and come out here, get our Torx that fits this, and I'll tell you what size it is. I don't even have it in my hand. And maybe we can get this out of place with the rods on it so I could show you. So that piece of plastic I told you I was gonna unlock was actually the handle, guys. Sorry, I reached up in and got the lock. But either way, I've got all the rods hooked up other than that one. And so we're gonna go ahead and get this out. It is a T30. We do need the latch here because it's power. Obviously we don't have power in this one. So we're gonna need this latch, and it has nothing to do with your lock cylinder, because once we're unhooked with the rod, that's what's keyed to your vehicle. We're obviously not gonna be using those. But let's get this out. I've got my hand on the inside. I will have here in a second when we get the last one out, so it won't just fall out of the bottom of the door. And then I'm gonna thread these back into the lock. See if we can get it out of here. There we go. So you can see what I unplugged here, the 3 plugs, 1, 2, 3. This is the rod that went up to the lock, that guy there. And then these 2, this went to the inside door handle. This one that I told you, this plastic keeper, I said I'd show it to you once I got it out. That's the one that sandwiches around the actual outside door handle. So that opens it from the outside. But we do need to keep this. I'm going to loosely thread these back in here just so I don't lose them, and we will set it aside and keep moving. Here's where things get a little tricky because this truck's obviously wrecked, we don't have power, which will be a similar situation if you're getting one from a salvage yard or whatnot, right? So I normally would like to have the window down, okay, at least to like where I could see the bottom of the glass right here. Well, I don't have that option, guys. So here's my plan. The window is only actually held in by the outer tracks. You can see where it goes up in this guy, that comes up, goes down to the other side here. So the other thing than that, right, when it's up, is it's suspended here in like a little channel. It sets like this, and that 10mm right there, and this 10mm right here, give you access to unbolt the glass. So essentially, once I undo this one, and I undo this one, if you undo them all the way, the backside will probably fall down on the door. I'm going to tape the glass up at that point. Now, the only reason I'm taping it up is I don't have anybody out here to help me. And when I start taking the actual regulator out, this glass will just fall down on the door. And believe me, I don't want to deal with that kind of cleanup. And to be real honest with you guys, since this glass is good, I may swap it to the truck that my son's driving. If I can, I don't know, maybe not. But I thought since it's already tinted and it's good glass, maybe we'll swap it. I don't know, we'll see. But either way, that's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna undo this 10mm. We're gonna undo this 10mm. I'm gonna put some tape around the top side of the door, which I will show you guys once I get that accomplished. And that's pretty much our next step here. Now that we've got those 2 loose, the glass is loose. I actually didn't tape it up because I've got a helper out here. So we're gonna take all these 10mm. You see the one on the bottom? I don't know if you guys can see that. There's one on the bottom of the door down here. There's a 10 down there in this corner, here, up in the middle. Every one of those 10mm that you see exposed, we are going to take out at this point while she holds the glass. So if you see a 10mm, we are taking it out. Now that we've got this loose, you can see this guy's moving around. My plan is to try to fold it down in between here, over itself, and see if we can get it out. There's one side, there's the other side, and that's how it goes in there, guys. I did have to lift a little to get this guy out. See that there? We have to lift a little and push back, and then you can get this thing out. This is what we need to transfer over to the new door. So now I'm gonna pull the glass out. We're gonna let it, I'm gonna have her let it down a little bit, and we're gonna thread it out the top. We need to kind of work our way back and forth with the glass. You should be able to kind of slide one side down, lift the other side up, and get the glass out. At least that's the hope. And we may have to take this piece of felt off. I think I will, to make our life a little easier. Probably should have done that first. Just let it go. I'm gonna let it set in the bottom of the door. take this piece of rubber off. That'll make getting this out a little bit easier on me. Or so I think. Remember when I said I was going to use this glass? I don't think I'm going to. The tint's not that great. So we're just yanking it out. And the glass is out. So like I said, you kind of got to fold it over. Hopefully you guys were able to see that. At this point, we have every single thing we needed out of the door. So makes it pretty simple, guys. The other thing is I did tell you needed to take every 10mm out. This one right here is actually for this channel. You didn't have to take that one out. I went ahead and did that. There's another one over here that gets that inner channel where the window rolls up and down on. If you guys were replacing that, honestly, if you took both those out and took that trim down all the way around, getting the glass out would be substantially easier. So I may do that when we go to this truck, and it's nice to have another one around in case you break something. But yeah, that glass, like I said, I told you I was gonna put it in the other truck, but the tint's not great. So anyway, let's, I think at this point we're gonna move from this door to the green door, and we're gonna try to install all the stuff we just removed here. Now, before we get into this truck, I do want to unhook the battery. This thing is hooked up. I literally drove it in here and then put it on the skates just so I could move it around. I'm trying to make room so if I need to get stuff in or out, I can still. So everything on this side of the shop is not mobile right now. But either way, let's grab an 8mm. We will get the battery unhooked on this thing, and then we're gonna go into this door and we're gonna transfer everything we just took out. Obviously, we need to pull this stuff out, which will be a little different, and I will show you guys that. But let's get the battery unhooked and start here. Now, I promised I would show you guys as much as I could possibly show you. So we're gonna start with the same exact stuff. Like I said, this one's a little different, just mainly because it's got different speaker setup, and obviously it has a window crank here. So we're gonna take, with our pry tool, take all the same stuff off that we did before. And the main reason I'm doing it this way, I'm gonna show you both doors, the exact same situation. This one doesn't have a power mirror, so it doesn't have that to unhook. But it does have all the rest of the stuff will be the same. Same 7mm that we got. We're gonna take off this 7 in here. And then there should be a 7 in the same spot, like in the door. And I'm making sure there's, see, there's another one down here in the corner. That's why I was thinking that one should have one. Make sure there's not another one. There's not. So now, here's what's different about this one. You're gonna need either a pick of some sort, but we need to push this back and we need to undo this. And I'm gonna show it to you after I get it out of the way. If you guys have ever taken one of these out before, sometimes it's a pain. There we go. So I want to show you what it looks like. What we're doing is, this guy right here, we're dragging out of the channel that locks it in place. And hopefully we won't need that anymore. So now we're gonna lift this up, pull it out, and we shouldn't have anything to unhook because the light that we had in the other one, that's just a dummy reflector on this one. And then obviously we don't have a tweeter to unhook, but you could see my panel's kind of rough. You know, this truck was a work truck, so it did have some work. I'm gonna go ahead and undo my 10mm here. In fact, let's just do that now, and I'll kind of move all this stuff out of the way at the same time. And we're gonna get our handle out of the way. And I'm gonna keep the handle over here because the handles are the same, guys. Well, I guess those are Cadillac handles. So I guess if I wanted to kind of dress up the interior, I could use those. These are really, really snug, these clips. See, we swung it out of the way like we did on the other side. I'm gonna keep it in here for now. And then, you know, if we decide we're gonna use the other one, we can always do that later. But I'm gonna pull this off and get that and the door panel out of the way. This thing apparently has aftermarket speakers too. I didn't put those in, or at least, man, I don't remember doing that anyway. But, you know, similar to what we did on the other door where we pulled out all the wiring, there still is a wire that comes up here to the lock. What I'm thinking that is, though, is what triggers your dome light, because they don't have the old school little switch that's in the door jamb like they used to, so your lights are based off of your latch. But in order to grab this guy here, and sorry guys, I know the lighting's not great, let's move it over here. So in order to get that out, we're gonna do the same situation. The only difference is we're gonna have to pull out the lower piece of plastic here, and we're gonna have to pull out the kick panel because that truck over here is completely stripped out, so we don't have that to contend with. So I'm gonna go ahead and yank those things out. You should just be able to pop these up. There's just little clips underneath them. And then we should be able to pull it out. Maybe a little more difficult because the seat's in this as well. And then the panel here, the kick panel, actually just pulls straight back. Don't force it. You want to pull from like right here, come straight back. See if I can get it out without. Yeah, it's got two little clips on the bottom. So now we can reach in here. This other one also didn't have. It basically has none of the dash, but we're also gonna have to unplug our green connector here and feed it out the same way we did this other guy. Now we can feed it out into the door jamb, but same situation, we're gonna feed all of this stuff through here. And I won't show you guys that. I'm gonna take all of the connectors off here, including the speaker. I won't bother you with that. We'll get all that stuff out of the way, and then the next thing we'll hit will be the actual regulator itself. Well, my light gave out on me. Battery died. I don't have luck with batteries, guys. But you can see we've got the wiring harness out, quite a bit less to it. You got that spot that goes to the latch. You got the spot that goes to the speaker. And that's about it, because this doesn't have power mirrors either. Now, when I bought these mirrors, when I painted this truck, I opted to get the power option. And the reason why is I knew I was going to be doing this down the road. So I'm glad I did. But either way, at this point, we're going to do the same situation where I'm going to take the rods loose here, and we're going to get the old latch out of place. And I know I told you I was going to take the regulator out, but I'm actually going to do this first, and then we'll worry about the regulator after I get the latch out. Same torques that we did on this door over here, except you know, there's two less plugs. You can see the latch laying there on the ground with all the rods on it, other than the one that comes down from the door handle. So we need to release the window. Remember, like we did on the other one, there's a 10mm here, and then on the other side there's a 10mm. Luckily, guys, the factory, I know I talked about it earlier, it's nice to have the window to go up and down. On this one we could crank it down a little bit, but there's really no reason we still have access to it, which is good in case the motor goes out, like I said, while it's up. But let's get these loose. I'm not going to take them completely out, just get them loose to where I can move the window out of that actual channel. And then, guys, we're literally doing the exact same thing. So once we get those 10s loose, I'm going to have somebody come out. I'll try to cut out stuff that's, you know, redundant, but we're going to take all these 10mm out. So I told you all of them that are exposed. We don't need to take this one out here. We don't need to take this one out here, but these two here, this one, this one, this one, the one at the bottom and the one at the other bottom here. That's going to loosen this regulator. So essentially what we're doing, we're taking out the same thing, except it's not going to have the crank on it. It has a power unit right here. And as a matter of fact, I believe you can disassemble this one and hang the power unit on there. But since we've got the other one, we might as well do that. Also, remember that once we get these bolts undone, you have to lift this up to get this hook on both sides here out of the channel, and then you can fold this up and drag it out. So let's say you're in a situation like I am and you don't have any help. I have a block of wood here that I'm setting on this rail to catch the window. You can see it right here. And guys, it's actually a little long. Normally I would like to wedge it up against this, but it'll give me something because I can control this. I can get all these out and kind of put my fingers in here if the glass starts to fall. Generally it fits pretty nicely in those. So let's say you don't have to. It's always a good idea to put something in there for if it were to fall, it can catch it. So I've got this thing set like this right now, but as I pull out this regulator, I'm gonna fold it on its side. That way it has more room to catch that. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay in place, but worst case scenario, you don't wanna bust the glass. So if you don't have help, it's best if you have somebody just hold this while you interchange the two, but I don't have somebody here to do that. So we're gonna take these tins out, fold this thing kind of up. You kind of gotta fold the bottom up, drag it out. Same thing here, drag it out, and we'll have it out of the way. I wanted to show you guys, this fell off the edge of this glass. Well, not the glass, but the actual bracket when I took this out, but not a big deal. The glass is still in place. I'm just trying to work my way around getting the rest of this out. So you can see the glass is actually still suspended up there. I'm just gonna carefully pull this out, and I'm keeping my hand up in here. Like I said, I've got a piece of wood blocked up in there. So we should be fine. You can see the glass did come down just a little bit. Well, actually you guys probably can't see that. I'm gonna roll it down to where it's sitting on my block of wood. So now it's on my block of wood here. It's resting on that. So we can go ahead, like I said, you kind of got to fold this thing up and pull it out. That's the way it sits in there. So now we've got the old out. While I've got it out though, I'm gonna put a piece of dyno mat on the inside of the door down here at the bottom, because it's really tinny sounding. You guys hear that? We can really deaden some sound by putting a long piece here. Even like a small piece in the middle will make a difference, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm probably gonna dyno mat this whole thing while I've got this off, but not really in this video. I'm gonna get the window motors complete, everything working before I go doing that. But before I put that piece in that I need to put in, I do wanna go ahead and do that. Now, I don't wanna show you guys a ton of this because you've seen me do it before, but this is what I'm planning on doing. I'm gonna clean this off and put, it's kill mat, not dyno mat, but I'm gonna put this in this door and then we'll go back together. So I won't show you guys this part. I'll show you when I do the rest of the door in another video, but just to get some extra sound deadening on this. Kill mat's all in there, but one thing I noticed, guys, when I was cleaning this out, one of the 10mm bolts that I took out, this guy was setting in the bottom. And I didn't need to take this one out. I told you guys to take all the ones that were facing you out. The one that actually fell out is right to the right of the top of the speaker. This guy right here. This is actually the one out of the truck that we're using for parts. And if you look, this is the one out of this truck. That's the one I'm gonna put back in, but you can see the little ears that come through these two holes right there. So I'm gonna put that thing back in there. And that's a guide, it's like a channel for the window. I clean the felts off really well, but we can go ahead, put this thing in here and grab one of those 10mm. Just make sure that it's in there correctly. You may have to come from the other way, and I may have to put the camera down in order to do it, but we need to get those two ears facing through like this, and then put one of our 10 millimeters back in there. But then we can grab our new regulator or our new to this truck regulator and put it in. These are all the same size. So all these 10 millimeters that we took out, guys, don't worry about, like, you know, are they different sizes to go different places? They are not. They're all the same size. So we're gonna get that in there, and I'm gonna snug these down by hand. I just don't want to run the impact through. But I do have our regulator, the power one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna attempt to kind of put this guy in down here. And same thing here, we're gonna get this kind of started. And we may have to push the glass up a little bit. I don't really want to scratch my tent. I mean, if we do, we do. But we're gonna try to sneak it up where it goes. And it's not gonna go completely in place because our glass needs to push up. So I may have to wait for somebody to come out here and help me. I don't know if I'll be able to get this in here without doing that or not. I've got one of the channels there started. So maybe I can get them both started and then we can just push the glass up with the actual regulator. There we go. So I've got the glass setting on it. So we're just gonna try to push it up with that. And then we can line these holes up. Getting close. Just need to find my little tabs here. I think I'm gonna have to have some help, guys. Definitely gonna have to have some help holding the glass up while I do this. I see the hole, but I don't have enough strength to push the glass up as I get it in place. Making me wonder if the glass is different for a power window truck because it's not going up far enough to get that in there. Shouldn't be different. There's the hole. There we go. So I got this side lined up. It's not different. It's just a little cumbersome. I'm going to go ahead and start this 10 right here on the bottom and the top. Just so maybe we get something to kind of hold it halfway. Then maybe I can get my hand over here on this other side and get it. There we go. Grab another one of our 10s, get it here. And And the same thing down here at the very bottom. All right, now that should help on this side. I think I just wasn't going up far enough. It's a tight fit over here. Wooden block could be in the way too. That could be part of our problem. Really close. That pin is like halfway lined up here, so I may just have to I think I'm gonna have to have some help keeping the window where it needs to go. I don't think it's going all the way up in the channel like it's supposed to right now, so I'm gonna have to have somebody come out here and maybe stabilize it. I just don't want to break it. I could probably take a little more tension off this. That might help. The tin that actually holds the glass, we'll just take it completely out for now and see if maybe that'll give me the room I need. But I really think, guys, I'm gonna have to have some help here. Just not one to fit. And I don't think, I'm gonna check the channel on the other one to make sure it's not any smaller, because it could be that this thing is shaped a little bit different and we can yank it off of this one and put it on the other one. So guys, after fighting this for a little bit, what I ended up doing is, these things are self-adjusting, right? So they'll only go up so far and then it pooters out. I think the setting in that one, because the window was all the way up, the felt may be more worn. But what I did was, I've got some alligator clips here hooked to a battery, and actually this battery is toast, but I had to lift the battery up, and that's why I didn't show you guys this. But basically how these window motors work is, one way goes up, and if you reverse the polarity, so you reverse the positive and negative, it goes down. So you can see that I've got the window cracked now, and now I'm able to get that slid in to where it needs to go. So you guys may have to, if the window regulator that you're getting out of the salvage yard, or even if you're buying new, generally when they come new, these little slides that hold the actual window, they are all the way down. So you won't have to do this, but if you're buying used and the window's up, chances are you may have to do some adjustments. So just get you a couple alligator clips and see what I'm talking about here. And you'll hook them in here on the motor. And since I put the battery down, I can't reach it here. But I've got it hooked on the either side. It doesn't really matter. You're just gonna test it and see which way goes which. But now I'm gonna go ahead and put our 10 millimeters back in all these holes, and then we'll worry about moving it. I'll show you guys it actually moving here in a second. Let me get something to maybe set this battery up a little higher so I'm not having to hold it. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. But this is actually, guys, the battery out of my 54, it died. It's not lasted. It's an Intimidator battery. I've actually never used one of those before, but we're gonna have to get a replacement for it. But it's got enough juice in it to move this. It doesn't take much. But either way, let me get the 10s in, and then we will show you this thing moving up and down. You can see I moved it all the way up, and I'm gonna show you guys the movement here in a minute, but I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up that hold the actual glass and that little channel. They do have Loctite on them, by the way. You don't want to get like crazy tight. I'm going to come back and snug these down by hand. I've just got them loosely fitted, but let's take a look. I'm going to set you guys back just a hair here, and then we'll kind of get in the middle here so we can see it going up and down. So at this point, like I said, I don't really know which way goes which. If you get it wrong, it won't go up. You can see that it's not moving. So that means it's all the way up and it's breaking that circuit. So now we're gonna swap. And we're all the way down. Swap it back. I wanted to make sure there was nothing like dragging or anything. And we're up. So that's exciting. You know, I could just buy one of these plugs, the salvage yard, and just, you know, maybe loop a switch in there and do this. But either way, that's really, really exciting, guys, because if it wasn't for all the wiring that had to go to this, we would be pretty close to finished, right? We just have to do the other door. But at this point, like I said, I'm gonna go through and kind of lightly tighten these up by hand. I'm sure there's a torque spec on them, guys. I'm sure it's low. I would guess somewhere around 8 foot-pounds of torque. This is just aluminum. The door's steel, but this little rack is aluminum. I'm not gonna get crazy tightening them up, but I am gonna go grab my wrench, tighten them up by hand, and then we're gonna grab the latch. So the latch that came out of this truck here, we're gonna grab it and we're gonna move it over to here with all the lines on it. So, and the reason I'm doing it that way, guys, is I think the lock rod maybe that goes to the door may be a little bit different. The one that goes from your door pull to the latch should be the same. I just wanna make sure that we're getting the right ones in the right place, if that makes sense. So we're gonna do that. This fell out a while ago, by the way. We're gonna use the ones off the truck here. Now we're ready to try to thread this guy in there. And so a couple of these, like this one goes up. Obviously this one goes to the lock on the inside and one goes out. So these two stay out, the two longer ones. So we're gonna get this thing kind of over where it needs to be. I did clean it off a little bit. I'll probably clean it a little more here in the corner, but I'm using the screws out of the one that came out of it. Doesn't really matter, they're the same. But I want to go ahead and get this done. Same way here, guys. I'm going to just tighten these down lightly by hand. This is pretty thin metal, so you don't want to just hammer down on this. I'm going to try to line it up. You can see there's outlines of where it was setting before, and so we're going to attempt to line it up there if we can. And they shouldn't, if they're cross-threading, don't keep going. Just pull out, rethread them if you have to. Looking at these were a little bigger, actually. I'm gonna take one out of the old pack, or the old handle, because if you notice that, like, one of these in that door, it looks like it may have been replaced at some point, that or in different years, they put a smaller one in, because it doesn't have as big a head on it. So I'm gonna swap it out for one of these others. And I wasn't planning on like reassembling this other truck, but I probably will at least put the latch in it and hook the door handle up. That way when I do haul this thing off, the door's not flapping, and you know, I'll just probably pile the rest of the stuff in there. Like, I'm not gonna run all the power stuff back through this other door. Here's where you gotta be careful. Don't shut your door because nothing's hooked up, right? So we wanna get things where they're supposed to go. These crisscross. So we'll put this in that little channel, this one here, this one here, and so that's our lock rod. You can hear the door locking and unlocking. Unlocked is forward. This one here, we're not gonna be able to do much with until we're ready to put the inner handle on. But if you accidentally do shut it, you can pull on this. That will let you in. And then the other one, guys, I'm not gonna be able to show you, but I'm gonna go ahead and hook those up. There's just the 2 rods, one for the lock, which I'm just gonna do by feel, to be honest with you. And you'll see what I'm talking about when you do it yourself, but do it by feel. I'm gonna do the other one. I can kind of shine my light in there and barely see it. So we'll get those 2 hooked up. I already got that lock one, and then we'll move on to probably the wiring. So I haven't shut it yet, but I do want to test it. Uh-oh, it's locked. So let's test our key. Cool. So it does work. I guess I could roll down the window and test the inside one, but it feels like it's working as well. Okay, guys, at this point, what we're going to do is off camera. I won't show you guys this. You guys know how I am about being picky. I'm gonna clean this skin right here. And the reason I'm gonna do that is, well, I'm crazy picky and I just want it to be clean. And then we're gonna worry about putting our wiring harness back into where it goes, threading it through the inside of the door jamb, getting it all routed in there nicely, and then we can go to the other door, because I'm going to dyno mat this. My ultimate goal, guys, is to get everything kind of put together where it goes for this video, and then we'll come back in another video and do all the dyno mat and stuff. But either way, let me clean this up. I'll probably at the same time switch the latch over, go ahead and put it in here so it's not on the floor. But that part's accomplished. All the mechanical stuff is there. We just now need to mess with the wiring. There's a couple things I did off camera other than clean. I mean, look, we cleaned this off. I didn't get real crazy because I'm probably gonna go over it again after I put the wiring harness in, but we've got our wiring harness, right? I cleaned this off. You can see it's still a little damp. It's a good time to clean it. It's really tough to clean in the truck, but we're gonna start by threading this in first. But one other thing I did is, you can see I retaped these areas. So these areas where you pull these little tabs off, there's just a piece of plastic in there, and a lot of times the tape tear especially has some age in it. So go through, be careful taking them off, but then go through and just put another row of tape along each one of those. Believe me, guys, it'll be worth it. But we're gonna start here. We're gonna thread this guy in, and we may have to move it around a bunch. I don't even know why I'm starting there, guys. Take that back. We're gonna start by pushing all of this stuff through the opening in the door, just like we pulled it out. And the great thing about this is, I'm hoping, and I think it will be, all our holes should be there, because they don't stamp these doors separately. If you get a door, whether it's a you know, a crank window truck or not, you're still getting the same door. So all our holes where our little plugs and stuff go through should be there. It just may take us a little bit to thread all this wire through. Be careful not to break any of your plastic clips dragging it through. And it's all gonna go in here, and we'll untangle it once it's here. So once we get it in there, we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and push this little cup in, and there's clips on the inside of it. It is in place. And then I could go ahead and push the other one through, but we're gonna wait for a minute. So let's take a look at what we got. Because it goes on the outside of the door, remember, it's gonna go in these little channels here, for the most part. Let's take a look at what we've got and see if we can line up some holes here. We've got the speaker, is the green and the green right there. And I'm thinking, based on the look of this, This is going this direction, but I don't want to clip that yet. I think we got one here, here, here. Okay, so that is that one. We're gonna go ahead and clip that. So starting where this little orange wire comes out, I'm hoping I got you guys back far enough where you can see all this go down. Starting where the little orange wire comes back, that's the light for your door, the courtesy light. Moving on to this guy, we're gonna go inside, and this clip is actually gonna be on the inside. So facing out, I'm actually gonna go on this side of the lock rod even. And I'm gonna go ahead and plug all 3 of these switches in. Like I said, guys, they only plug in one spot. So if it's not going in one of the plugs, obviously try a different plug. Once we get that one, we're gonna work our way up, plugging in each one of these. I'm gonna leave my little test leads. This one, what is it? Oh, that's the actual power window. So we can leave it out. Then moving on up the door, let's see here. I was hoping we'd have another plug somewhere. This is for the lock. What is this one for? This one's for the mirror. Yep, that's for the mirror. Same thing here, guys, it goes on the inside. I think we're out of clips at this point. The mirror one goes up through the inside of the door. You just want to route it away from anything. I mean, believe me, the clips help. But you want to route it against anything that could possibly break, if that makes sense. This is trying to find the opening for the window. Or the power mirrors, and I don't guess there is one. Must go on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and hook this thing up, actually. Thread it up here, plug this in. Remember, we put mirrors that are power in this thing. And that was actually wrong. That takes some experimenting. Actually goes there. Plugs in. There we go. And we can tuck it in there. And I'm going to go ahead, plug this one in. There's a little channel right here that's running in. And then I think that's it, guys. I think this one goes here, and that's it. These don't have any plugs to them because they plug out here into the switches. And actually that is the tweeter. Sorry, I said it was the power window. It's actually for the tweeter. So I'm just gonna tuck this in there for now. Same way with this one. And we're good. I'm not gonna plug this in yet, like I said, because I may want to move the window up and down, but not too bad a deal. Now we can go ahead, thread these through the body into the truck. And we're gonna leave them unplugged for now because there's nothing, I mean, you can plug them in up here, but there's nothing that's gonna run it, so might as well leave it for now. I want to try to get this the same direction that it was in the other door so we don't have any issues with it closing. And it's in. Let's test the door, make sure everything, test it and make sure everything closes. perfect. And that thing, the little accordion piece that you see in the door, it kind of turns as the truck moves. So it's gonna gradually find its home. Let's take you guys off the tripod here and give you a look at what we got. So you can see everything's plugged in. Some of them on the back side like that one, some of them on the front side like this, all the way up to the mirrors. We are good. Man, I wish GM would have just left the pack. The factory would have just ran the lines for all this stuff and we would be finished here. We would literally plug it in, have power and go, but it's not that simple. So at this point, guys, I'm going to leave this one alone. We are going to go to the other one. I will probably time lapse that since you guys saw the process. The only difference is you got a few more things to unplug on the other side because you're running 2 switches, the driver and the passenger. Your power mirrors switch is over there, but the switch, the way the whole thing comes apart will be the exact same. So I'll just time lapse that and you guys can see me take it out and get it swapped to the door on the other side. So now we have everything swapped over. I actually even put the old regulators in those other doors just because I didn't want them laying on the floor. I also put the latch in there so the doors would stay shut. But all in all, guys, this part is probably the easiest part. Just taking your time, making sure you move stuff around. The only issue I had was, as you could see, for some reason the regulator was up too far for that truck. I mean, each truck's going to be a little bit different, I guess. But I wanted to show you, it can't go up any further. It stops. It's got a lock in it. I want to see if we can switch this over here. My poor battery. All right, let's give it a shot. Rolling it down. I want to make sure that everything's clearing, and it is. So you can see our windows down here, and then when we alternate this, our window will go back up. It probably needs a little grease. I'll probably get some grease and put in the track. It's your normal slow GM window, you know. Like I said, guys, you could opt to go with a new unit if you wanted to replace this, and maybe down the road I will. The one downside to the aftermarket units, even the GM replacement, the plug has a cable on it that comes down. So you got to kind of find a way to tie it up so it's not in the way of the window. And obviously, you know, we'll hook this up when we're ready. Same way with the light over here on this side, and then the speaker. But all in all, I wanted to get all the stuff swapped over that made the door work. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any way to, I haven't looked at the schematics to see if we can try to hook power to the doors and see if they pop or not. I would imagine they probably do. Sometimes the latches go bad. But yeah, we've got a majority of the big stuff accomplished, at least on the doors. At this point, I think that we're effectively finished for this video. Like I said, I'm going to try to break this up in multiple videos. They may not be back to back to back. I'm just working on this as I have time out here. And so I really want to split it up. I know there was a lot in this video. Pretty simple swap, like I said, but everything is in. Everything seems to be working, at least as far as the windows go. Our locks are working, our latches are working, and so that was probably the easiest part of this swap. Now, like I said, guys, you do have the option to try to find where the power goes in. So that piece that we ran into the kick panel right here, you could try to find where the power goes in, and you could feed a power line into that if you wanted. And you could feed a power line into the locks if you wanted. Fuse them somewhere, and everything should work. So if you wanted to take that route, you could. The only other thing you would have to do is obviously for the window, mirror, and the power door lock, you would have to run power to the other side as well, and a connection cable from the switches over there. So I don't want to do it that way. I really want to do it like GM would have done it, which is switching the entire harness. So in the next video, we are going to attempt to yank the dash out of this truck. That's right, we're going to yank the entire dash out, because this cable that we need for power, you see this guy right here, runs all the way through this mess of wire through this dash. It is zip tied in 1,000 places, and so we are going to attempt to yank the entire dash out. We're going to take a look at it. So if it's something that I think we can thread off of this dash, we will do that. If not, there's nothing wrong with this dash. There's no broken pieces. All the plastics are off of it. I can swap. This is basically the shell that's left anyway. So the downside is you guys aren't going to get to see me pull the shell off. I will show you in this truck though when I pull all that stuff off, because obviously if we choose to just use this whole shell, then we may, well, we're going to have to pull the plastics off to get it out anyway. So either way, stay tuned for the next video, guys. When we yank this dash out, that is going to be an undertaking, I'm sure. So you can see, it's one of the reasons I have this thing on the skates, so I can push it over out of the way when I'm ready to, you know, yank stuff out or do anything. I thought this would be a good place for it, since nothing's moving in and out. But if you guys have enjoyed this video so far, if you're excited about it, go down there and hit the comments, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring the bell icon that notifies you every time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see this thing get power windows, power locks, and power mirrors.